Hi, Dave here, and in this video we've got a gear review of a monitor that will really help you with your live streaming, especially if you own an Atem Mini. Let's go and check it out. So before we get started, I just want to say that this is not a sponsored video. Seetec has provided me with a monitor to review and I do get to keep it afterwards. However, all my opinions are my own and this is not being checked before I put the video out. So what we're looking at is the Seetec Atem 156 monitor. So I own a Black Magic, actually two Black Magic Atem Minis. I didn't get the Pro or the ISO because they're too expensive, but I own two of the normal ones. And unfortunately, because of that, we don't have multiple outputs. Now you could make something that's quite cumbersome, but when I saw Seetec make a monitor kind of specifically for it, I was all in and I wanted to get it checked out. So let's go and unbox it and have a look at all the functions and features. So as you can see, we've got a very unbranded box here. It just says broadcast monitor. It could be any make or model. So let's put the monitor one side for a second. And we've got this and this. So let's take a look in the box. So we have an EIC to European, we have some bolts, we have an EIC to what I believe is American, and some more bolts, and we have a mini micro HDMI to HDMI, power adapter with the EIC, and some other bits and pieces, and a user manual, and we've got the brackets here. So the good thing is, because this comes like this, I can just plug in my own EIC into that, so these two can go in the bin. And let's just get these out. And there we have the mess that it is. So let's put these all to one side for a minute and let's take a look at the actual monitor here. So we have a 15.6 inch 4 HDMI input output quad split display for the Atem Mini. 4K, the resolution is 1920 by 1080 with a contrast ratio of 800:1. So we've got the buttons down here which we're going to go through in a moment. We've got some mounts at the bottom there. We've got a mount there, nothing on top, mount there, and then let's look at the interesting bit on the back. Now we have a V-mount battery plate here. That's something I don't actually have, but when I start using this, because I will be using this, I'm probably going to invest in a couple of V-mount batteries. Not the cheapest, but it will do a really good job for me when I'm doing stuff externally. We also have the DC 12 volt power, and then this is where it all happens. So we've got the 4 HDMI ins and 4 HDMI outs. So all we need to do is plug all our sources in here and then run them out there into the Atem Mini. Let's get going. Hey, here we have just one camera set up because I wanted to show you the latency, which is actually really pretty good, very workable. And I've plugged in a few HDMIs there. You'll see at the back, I do tidy those cables up, so don't worry. The viewing angle, I have to say, is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, look, I can still see it right from the top and from the side. If you look there, yes, you get some reflection, but I do have studio lights on, but the viewing angle is just amazing. I could put it anywhere and be able to see it, which is really, really useful. The screen itself looks really nice and it's got some nice true colour in there as well. We've got 4 HDMI input slots there, so you can see my cameras. There's my overhead, and one of my HDMI ins is my computer, so you can see that as well. Now there is a little delay when it comes to switching between HDMI inputs, but remember, this isn't a video switcher, this is a monitor. I'm going to be using this on multi-screen view anyway, so it's not going to bother me at all. Let's have a quick look at the menu. We've got the picture and all the usual stuff you would see, the brightness, contrast, etc. Then we got the aspect ratio, and we got the display functions, the audio, the markers, and the settings. So if we go back to picture, we can see that we go all the way down to the bottom. We've got the color effects as well. So you can really hone this into your liking. You see all the hues and saturations there. And we jump out into the function there. You can even see we've got anamorphic and freeze and zoom in there, which is quite useful. Now in the display, if you go down to the input, you can actually change the input of the HDMI. So if you accidentally physically got it wrong and you can't be bothered or you can't get to the back of the screen, then you can actually change that inside, which is really quite cool. Then we've got our audio with our headphone jack, and then we have things like the safety marker and the center marker, which can be quite useful as well. If I wasn't using this on multi-screen, I'd definitely be using these. And there we have the settings for F1, F2, F3, F4. So with the buttons that we're going to look at in a second, you can then program them to whichever one you want, which again can be really useful. And you've got your positions on horizontal and vertical. And just down the bottom, we have menu time and reset. So if you have a look at the buttons, there you'll see the HDMI 1, 2, 3, 4, the menu, and then those F1 to F4 programmable buttons. There you see a lower picture-in-picture of different cameras. There you can see we can have false color as well, which is really useful. And then we have a headphone socket, which is really useful. If you do have the Atem Mini, you'll know there isn't a monitoring headphone out, so you can use this instead. Then we have our multi-view with our false color at the top left, but I can change that whenever I want. And you can see top right is my actual computer input. We can also quickly change volume, contrast and brightness, etc. on the monitor as you would normally do. So this is my setup all tidied up and nice and neat. Top screen is my computer. You can see my overhead camera there. My face camera would normally go on the right hand side. And then I've got my multi-view there so I can preview that, plus my Black Magic for all my recording needs. You can see my Atem Mini on the side, and yeah, really, really useful. So there you have the Seetec Atem 156. It's an incredibly good monitor. I'm going to be using it for my setup forevermore now. And I just want to say a big thank you to Seetec for letting me use this and review it, because it is really good. I'll be honest with you, it's not the cheapest, and I can kind of justify the cost due to the fact you don't need to have any other piece of equipment there. But it's not just a cheap screen that you have on your computer. It's a very good camera videography monitor. I'll let you decide whether it's for you or not, but if it is, I'll leave the description and links to lots of different countries below. Let me know if you want to see anything else on it. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Hope you found it useful, and I'll see you next time.